dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And you're back on Liberty Nation Radio. I remain Mark Angelides, continuing our conversation with longtime host of this here radio show, Liberty Nation senior political analyst, Mr. Tim Donner. Tim, and our dear audience, we've been discussing polling in light of the new Macy's version of the public square that's opening up on the pages of libertynation.com this week, where we'll be examining all the different polling, giving you some great graphics, some great analysis on all the big races that are coming down the pipeline. And so we've already discussed President Trump's job approvals. We've discussed the generic congressional ballot for 2026. We've discussed probably the most important race this year, the Mamdani contest. I hesitate to call it an actual contest, but Mamdani's coronation in New York, although, of course, being a socialist, he might refuse the crown.
No royalty.
No king.
This is the United States.
Yeah. I did love watching the coverage of Donald Trump in the United Kingdom, because even though it's all very much no kings, you guys sure do love a bit of pomp and circumstance. The amount of coverage of Trump's visit to the United Kingdom and the state banquet was quite something to watch, and I like it. I love the pomp and circumstance. Please do check out the photo journal that we have on the pages of libertynation.com. So let's talk about the final quarter of what I think are the most important polling segments to watch, and that is the right direction, wrong track. Now, for those of our listeners and viewers who aren't familiar with what that is, that's really what would you say, Tim? It's a poll of sentiment. Do people think the country's going in the right direction, or do they think this national train is on the wrong track entirely? Give us the details.
Well, I think that what this is a poll about optimism.
Yes.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the country going forward into the future as far as you can see it or surmise it? And I think that's why it's particularly useful, because politicians make decisions that make them more or less popular. Politicians have good weeks and bad weeks. Parties win elections and lose elections. But the direction of the country tends to strip out the pure partisanship involved in things like Trump approval ratings and generic congressional ballot. And boils it down to its basics. And I think really the most startling contrast in pivoting from the Biden presidency to the Trump presidency, the second Trump presidency, is the really dramatic increase in the number of people who feel the country's moving in the right direction. It was below 30 with Joe Biden when he left office, and it was above 40 with Donald Trump after 2 or 3 months in the Oval Office. And this, to me, is the most reflective of, I would say, the most powerful of all the polling, because it tends to the greatest extent possible, strip away the pure partisanship. And so someone on the left can say they like the direction of the country, even though they didn't vote for Trump. And people on the right can say, I voted for Trump, but I don't like the direction of the country. And the name Trump or Biden or anybody else doesn't enter into it. And I think looking at that, look, it's sort of like approval of presidents. It never goes above 50%. I've never seen the direction of the country be above 50%, no matter who was in office. Bush, Obama, Biden, Trump. It's never really been above 50%. So if you can come close to 50, you're doing well. And Trump has been in the 40s. Now, we'll track that very closely, of course.
Yeah, it's, as you say, it is very much about optimism. And I think part of what goes into this particular bit of polling is very much what's happening economically. So people consider their wallets and they consider their job and business prospects, depending on if they're employed or self-employed. And they look at these things and they think, am I happy to be expanding my business in the coming year? And if they think conditions are right, that's a very optimistic sentiment. And they'll probably go for, the country's on the right track. Because we say the country, what we really mean is, are things on the right track for me? And that's what it all comes down to.
Yes.
It's the individual. Although if you're in New York, you might say, hey, but what about the collective? What about the socialist collective?
The collective, its mindset.
Tim, final word on this. Do you think that coming into the 2026 midterms, that the direction of the country data will be going up or down from where it is now? Final word.
Well, I think it all depends on the direction of the economy. If we get economic growth that pushes up towards 3%, the jobs numbers improve, the number of people in the workforce, that's a critical factor. If that increases, I think you're going to get, my sense is you're going to get that same general sense of economic well-being that people had during Trump's first term, when in February of 2020, it looked like Trump would be on a glide path to re-election until the pandemic came along. And most of that was because of the strength of the economy. So it all pivots on the economy.
Tim Donner, thanks ever so much for joining us.
Had a great time, Mark. Thanks.
And that's all we have time for on this week's edition of Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I've been your host, Mark Angelides. I'd like to thank our guest today, Tim Donner, senior political analyst over at libertynation.com, and you, the listeners, who take the time each week to tune in and join us. Please do remember to go and check out Liberty Nation's brand new polling, The Public Square, over on the website. And Liberty Nation does not endorse candidates, campaigns, or legislation, and this presentation is no endorsement.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.